So you're about to see a clip here in a little bit, and I'm gonna do a little bit of some voiceover and talk a little bit about the clip and what's going on in the clip at the time. So basically, we did a little back of the track testing a couple weeks ago at one of our local tracks. Um, Back of the track and front side are obviously two different surfaces. Front side's usually gonna have rubber down. It's usually concrete. A lot of the prep just kind of sits on top of the surface. Now on a back track, most of those are asphalt. The prep will actually absorb into the asphalt faster than it will on, say, a front side with a little bit of rubber down. The rubber kind of keeps the prep on top, basically. So on a backside surface, you may be caught in a situation where it's fairly new asphalt, and it will actually absorb the product pretty fast, depending on how fast you pour it down. And that's all going to dictate, how fast your competitor does a burnout. Every guy's got their different technique. Sometimes it takes a guy, a long time to pour his puddle, do his burnout, back up, this, that, and the other. It's no quick to rush. I see it all the time. There's a lot of guys that just go out there, they just dump it on the ground. They ain't even pay attention to the guy next to them, and they're already doing their burnout. The guy hasn't even pulled it in the burnout box yet. There's no, you shouldn't be rushing at the end of the day. Wait for your guy to pull up. You watch, if you've watched this guy before, you see how long he does his burnout, how long it takes him to back up. If he does a long burnout, he does a short burnout. There's a lot of varieties there at the end of the day. And really studying the person that you're racing will help a lot in your program. And it will actually help you a lot in your pass as well, because obviously you're prepared. You know exactly what that person's going to do, how long it takes them. Because, in circumstances where there's guys that go up, they'll pour their puddle, and then they'll just sit there, and, you're sitting there waiting on the guy to pull up. Well, by that time, the prep's already absorbed into the ground. And guy does his burnout, guess what? He ain't going to do a very good burnout, because there ain't going to be nothing under his tires. It's going to be basically a dry hop, and in most cases, at most of these races, it's a one burnout rule. So you do a burnout, and whatever it is, whatever you make is the burnout you get. So key always is if you're caught in a situation like that, have your crew just kind of pay attention to the surface in front of your tire. If you start to see where it's not very wet, splash it again, just so you can make sure that you can always do a good burnout. The burnout is the key to all this, to help making a pass. To prepping the tire, getting the tire sticky. And like I said, we see it all the time, and it's just something that, like, I don't think it gets reflected on a lot, and a lot of people don't talk about it. And I feel like that, people need to know that, that's something that should be known, in this type of racing at the end of the day. So first things first, line your driver up right into the spot you want to do the burnout. The same groove you want the burnout to be in, the best spot on the track where you want to, in the day, you want to send the car down is the biggest thing as you're pulling up into the burnout box. So once you get your driver in the burnout box, it's time to pour the puddle. Depending on what size tire you have, it could be a 28 10.5, it could be as much as a 30, 33, big tire. As long as the tire sits in the puddle completely, that is what you want. There's a lot of people that like try to skip out on prep and just kind of just throw it out there, and trying to conserve it. At the end of the day, if one tire is not in the prep as much as the other, that will cause the vehicle to, the other tire will spin, the other tire is going to dead hook, and it's going to send you straight out of the burnout box, and you can go do a very good burnout. So always having both tires in a puddle perfectly is the key to all this as well. And the other thing too is you're going to see is our pouring technique. We like to pour a little ways out from the tire, as you're going to see in this video. And that basically, the reason that we do that is when the burnout is commencing, you sit there, get a little bit of wheel speed, start getting some smoke. What that does is once the car moves, it starts to drag the prep out actually a little bit. So it's helping, drag the prep out. It's helping, drag the rubber down a little bit more, to give you a nice solid line to back right back up into. And also the biggest thing is, like, say there's a line at the burnout box, and we try to mark a line to where the prep can't be drug out as far. So if you want to do something like that, the best thing to do is stand back far from the burnout line and do your burnout from there. That way you can drag the prep out a little bit longer, and it'll help. At the end of the day, it's going to help drag the prep out. It's going to help drag the rubber out a little bit more and give you a better groove back. So the burnout should be nice and hot, lots of wheel speed. As far as you drag it out is going to dictate, what the surface is like. If there's no rubber down, I would definitely do a much longer burnout. If you're starting to get a lot of rubber down, make it nice, short, and sweet. It's always nice to have a crew member or two, holding the back of the car, trying to keep your burnout nice and straight. Straight as possible. If you start going sideways, obviously you're going to not have a very good groove to back up into. Make sure that the guys that are holding the car are, equal as far as how much push they're putting into the car, because at the end of the day, if one side is putting too much push into the other, it'll actually start forcing the car to go that way, and the person that's on the other side can't push hard enough to push it back to where they can keep it straight, and that's how a lot of the burnouts get sideways. It's always nice to have a guy in the back of the car, and at the end of the day, he's relaying the information to the guy standing in front of the car of which way the driver needs to turn to stay in the stickiest part of his burnout tracks. Or if he didn't do a good burnout, needs to be right into the middle of the groove. Putting the guy in nice and straight and not crooked is very crucial, because you are putting your life in jeopardy, putting his life in jeopardy if you would put the guy in crooked or sideways or not in the groove at all. It's the safety of him. It's the safety of the guy that's running beside of him, because at the end of the day, whatever way that car is pointing, it's going to go. And he may not react fast enough, and something can happen. So it's crucial keeping the car straight, making sure it's straight, making sure it's going to make a nice straight pass as possible. It's always good just to keep checking, make sure the car's straight, and before you pull up to the starting line, any starting line techniques, blowing the engine out, purging nitrous if your nitrous car, all the checks basically at the end of the day before you bring that car up to the starting line, because once you hit that starting line, guess what? It's go time. Depending on if it's a tree or it's a flashlight. And also, make sure the car's straight. If it needs to go a certain way, it's always good, have your guy behind, just keep following those tracks, following that groove. As you can see in Mike's pass here, car comes out of the hole, it's got a lot of wheel speed, but once that momentum kind of slows down, guess what? The car starts rolling out. This pass wasn't very fast. On a surface like this, you don't have to go very fast. And this surface doesn't have a lot of rubber down, because there's really not been a whole lot of passes on it. This was actually only our second pass of the day that we made in this lane. So for what it's worth, we made a really good pass, but we also have a good suspension setup for back of the track. Our power management is also set up for back of the track. The boost ramp. All that stuff plays into a factor on how well your car is going to get down a surface just like this. Alright guys, well hopefully the video there you just watched hopefully educated you. Hopefully, gave you some pointers, especially to the new racers that are just coming into the sport. The proper techniques to do to, properly do a burnout, properly make a pass. And the two biggest things is, safety. Safety is the biggest thing. And, hopefully always getting that win. And hopefully, with this video is going to help both those cases. All right, guys, I'm going to get this video wrapped up now. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And thank you for everybody that always purchases Stripper Glitter. That's always out there repping us. Using it in races, helping you win some cash, win these big races. It's the best feeling in the world. Coming into Sunday and Monday and seeing all the posts of you winning money, you winning your street race, you winning this big event. Like, we love seeing stuff like that. So make sure you keep tagging us on Facebook, Instagram. You winning a race, that we love stuff like that. I love posting that stuff for content, during the week, and showcasing, hopefully it makes you feel good, that hey, I was out there winning, and guess what? I was out there using stripper glitter at the end of the day. Thank you everybody for always supporting us. It's been a tough 3 years, and we couldn't have done it without everybody's support and just believing in a product that we think is one of the best out there. And we couldn't do it without all the support that we get all around the world.